Good evening, and I hope everybody is well. So, social distancing, not a term that a lot of us were familiar with pre-March, and now it seems to be one of the most talked about topics. We're now at a stage when we're all thinking about what reopening of businesses might look like, and whether you operate from an office or whether you have a consumer-facing premises, it's undoubtedly going to require a lot of preparation. As the lockdown starts to ease and businesses can begin to reopen, I think we all know that the environment that we operated in pre-coronavirus is not going to be the one that we go back to. This has clearly been and continues to be a really difficult time for members, financially, emotionally, and potentially also from a health perspective. So our latest project is all around looking at how we can support you with the transition back to the workplace and what this might look like, whether you choose to do it as a phased return or whether you intend to reopen in full from day one. I know that looking after both your teams and your customers is going to be the number one priority, and this might mean expanded ways in which you have previously engaged with people. So while some people will be really keen to go straight back out to the high street and engage, I think there will be some people that are not quite ready for this yet. So they might continue to want to engage with you via video calls, text, social media, etc. And from speaking to a number of different members around the UK, there are clearly a lot of concerns and also a lot of different dates being talked about. Some are looking at starting the transition back into their premises from early June, and others are looking at much later into the summer. So I think whenever you decide to reopen, it's still going to require a lot of preparation. So we've been looking at ways that we can support with this, and we'll be splitting it into three main sections. So the first section is all around advice and guidance. We're going to be adding risk assessment templates to the intranet and also sharing guidance on everything from suggested people per square footage allowed in retail spaces to how to adapt communal spaces to maintain social distancing. There's also a lot of health and safety information which covers a huge amount of elements from ventilation considerations right through to sanitising space between customers. So we're going to aim to summarise this and give you some clear and concise information that will hopefully be useful for you as you begin to make your plans. We're also going to be looking at signage and assets. So explaining the new rules is going to be key to both staff and customers. If you do operate a consumer-facing premises, there's going to be even more to consider. So we're working on a suite of assets to support you with this, and that's going to include things like floor signs and showing 2 metre spacing, and also where to queue, things like screensavers displaying what the new policy is. And then we're also going to be looking at a suite of digital assets. So they can be used on all types of social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and they're going to be giving customers information on what your business is doing to protect both staff and customers. And we're also going to look at things like backgrounds for video calls so that you can show your branding and your contact details. Also within this, we know that appointments are potentially going to be something that are here to stay. So we're going to look at how we can support you both with the advertising of appointments, both face-to-face appointments and virtual appointments, and also how you can facilitate customers with booking those. The final section that we're looking at is equipment. And we know there's going to be a more practical side to reopening businesses that you might want to consider. So we're going to try and provide some guidance on what the options are. That will include looking at things like masks, gloves, shoe coverings, and even seat coverings. We're also working with a supplier to see if we can set up a central deal for members to be able to order screens. So look out for more news on that coming soon. Following on from the more practical side of things, I think we all know that there's going to be other changes as a result of what we've been through and continue to go through. I think we'll need to reassess who we work with, and centrally we're going to make sure that we are continuing to build mutually beneficial, strong partnerships, and that will mean reshaping our product offering. We'll be adding new product to fit in with what customer demand is, but also making sure that our existing partners are right for us and for you. Minimising risk is potentially also going to be a bigger factor than ever before. And I think this is where Advantage Holidays can become a bigger part in some businesses. And also continuing to build strong local partnerships is potentially still going to be a really key aspect of the next few months. And I think steering your business through the next 12 months, I mean, we can't underestimate that is going to be a challenge. And diversification and looking at how you can generate alternative income is going to be vital. So again, more from us to come on this over the next few weeks. So I hope that this insight into what we're working on has been useful. I wanted to end this evening's update on offering my top tip on how I aim to look after my mental health, as it is Mental Health Awareness Week. And that is really simply just to take a break. So working from home has its own challenges, and being on constant video calls can be really draining. So I try and make sure that I take a day off every few weeks. It just helps me to step back, refocus, and I find that I tend to come back to work with fresh ideas. So I find that really useful. So needless to say, I'm looking forward to a 3-day weekend. Let's hope the sun is shining, and wishing you all a very good bank holiday weekend.